The notification came through at 2:53 a.m. I wasn't supposed to see it. Hell, I wasn't even supposed to be awake. But there I was, stumbling back from the bathroom in our Nashville condo, when Ashley's phone lit up on the nightstand like a beacon in the dark. Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you. The preview showed a name I didn't recognize. Brandon W. My hand hovered over her phone. We'd been married for 6 years, together for 9. We had a 4-year-old daughter named Emma sleeping down the hall. Ashley was my college sweetheart, the woman who'd stood by me through my father's death, through the lean years when I was building my software consulting business from nothing. I picked up the phone. Face ID didn't work in the dark, obviously, but muscle memory made me try her passcode anyway. Our anniversary, ZO614. Incorrect passcode. My stomach dropped. She'd changed it. When? Why? Ashley stirred beside me, her blonde hair spilling across the pillow. In the dim light from the street below, she looked peaceful. Beautiful. The same woman I'd kissed goodbye yesterday morning before she left for her team-building retreat with her marketing firm. Except she'd come home at noon today, a full day early, claiming the retreat had been cut short due to a scheduling conflict with the venue. I set the phone down carefully, exactly where it had been. My heart hammered against my ribs as I climbed back into bed, keeping to my side, suddenly hyper-aware of the 6 inches of space between us that might as well have been the Grand Canyon. The phone buzzed again. Then again. Ashley's breathing remained steady, the deep rhythm of genuine sleep. Or maybe she was faking it. How would I even know anymore? I lay there in the darkness, watching the ceiling fan rotate slowly overhead. The same fan we'd installed together 3 years ago when we bought this place. I'd held the ladder while she'd insisted on doing the wiring herself because she'd watched a YouTube tutorial and wanted to prove she could do it. That was Ashley. Stubborn, independent, capable, apparently capable of things I'd never imagined. I didn't sleep. Couldn't. By the time dawn crept through our bedroom curtains, I'd run through every possible explanation. Maybe Brandon was a colleague. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe the message was meant for someone else, sent to the wrong Ashley. But the changed passcode kept circling back, a shark in dark water. Ashley's alarm went off at 6:30. She reached over to silence it, and I watched through slitted eyes as she checked her notifications. Her thumb moved quickly, swiping and tapping. Deleting, I realized. She was deleting messages. Morning, I said. She jumped, actually jumped, and the phone slipped from her hand onto the comforter. God, Tyler, you scared me. She laughed, but it sounded wrong. Forced. I thought you were still asleep. Rough night. I sat up, reaching for my own phone on the nightstand. Kept waking up? You should take some melatonin or something. She was already out of bed, grabbing her robe, phone clutched in her hand. I'm going to shower. Ashley? She paused in the doorway. Who's Brandon? The silence that followed lasted maybe 3 seconds, but I watched her face cycle through a dozen micro-expressions. Surprise, fear, calculation. Then she landed on confusion, and I absolutely knew, that whatever came next would be a lie. Brandon? Brandon Whitmore from the office. Why? Your phone went off last night. I saw the notification. Oh. She waved a hand dismissively. Yeah, he was probably sending the team photos from the retreat. He's always weird about timing his messages. I think he works night shifts on his side projects or something. It was a good lie. Detailed enough to be believable, casual enough to seem unrehearsed. If I hadn't seen her delete those messages 30 seconds ago, I might have bought it. Right, I said. Makes sense. She smiled, relieved, and disappeared into the bathroom. A moment later, I heard the shower start. I sat there on the edge of our bed, in the room where we'd made love countless times, where we'd told each other our dreams and fears, where Emma had crawled into bed between us during thunderstorms, and I realized I was about to become a different person. The Tyler from yesterday would have accepted her explanation, would have trusted his wife, would have gone downstairs to make coffee and start Emma's breakfast routine and gone about his day. But that Tyler died at 2:47 a.m. The new Tyler opened his laptop. I'd built my business on data recovery and digital forensics for small companies. I knew my way around technology. More importantly, I knew that Ashley and I shared a family iCloud account, something we'd set up years ago for photo sharing and device backups. She'd changed her phone passcode, but she hadn't thought to change her Apple ID password. Rookie mistake. Within 10 minutes, I had access to her iCloud backup. Within 20, I'd set up a mirroring protocol that would sync her messages to a hidden folder on my laptop in real time. The shower was still running when the first batch of messages downloaded. I opened the thread with Brandon W. The most recent message, sent at 2:47 a.m. Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you. Her reply, sent at 6:31 a.m., just before I'd said her name. Me too. But we have to be more careful. Tyler almost saw your message. His response came through as I watched. Sorry, babe, I couldn't help myself. You're addictive. I scrolled up. The thread went back 4 months. 4 months. My hand was shaking so badly I had to set the laptop down. The messages kept coming. I watched them appear on my laptop screen in real time, each one a small detonation. Ashley was texting Brandon from the bathroom. I could hear the shower running down the hall, could picture her standing there in the steam with her phone, thinking she was safe. Ashley. He definitely suspects something. Asked about you directly. Brandon W. What did you tell him? Ashley. That you're a work colleague. Don't think he bought it. Brandon W. Should we cool it for a while? I leaned back in my office chair, waiting. The cursor blinked on my screen. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Ashley. No, I'm not giving this up. I'll handle Tyler. Handle me. I'll handle Tyler. Like I was a problem to be managed. A variable in her equation. Brandon W. When can I see you again? Ashley. Thursday, same place. I'll tell him I have that traffic optimization conference in Chattanooga. Traffic optimization conference. I pulled up my calendar. Sure enough, there it was. Ashley, Chattanooga conference, Thursday free. She'd added it 3 weeks ago. I'd never questioned it. Why would I? Ashley managed the city's traffic systems. Conferences were part of her job. Except now I wondered how many conferences had actually been conferences. I opened a new document and started a timeline. 4 months ago was January. I scrolled back through our shared calendar, looking for overnight trips, late meetings, weekend work sessions. There were more than I wanted to count. The shower shut off. I had maybe 5 minutes before she came out. I took screenshots of everything. The messages, the calendar entries, the pattern I was beginning to see. I saved them to an encrypted folder on my laptop, then backed it up to a cloud service she didn't know existed. Professional paranoia had its uses. When Ashley emerged from the bathroom 20 minutes later, she was wearing her navy suit, the one she saved for important meetings. Her hair was still damp, pulled back in a twist. She looked beautiful. She looked like a stranger. Emma's still asleep, she said, checking her phone. I need to leave early. Big presentation at City Hall. What's the presentation about? She didn't look up. Traffic flow optimization for the downtown corridor. Pretty dry stuff. Sounds interesting, actually. Which corridors are you working on? Now she looked at me. Her eyes were careful. Broadway and West End, primarily. Why? Just curious about your work. We never really talk about it anymore. You've never been interested in traffic engineering before? Maybe I should be. You spend enough time on it. She picked up her bag, checked her phone again. I really need to go. Can you handle Emma's drop-off? Of course. She kissed my cheek, a habit, nothing more, and headed for the door. Then she stopped, turned back. Tyler? Yeah? About Brandon. I know how it looked, but I promise you, there's nothing going on. He's just a colleague who doesn't understand professional boundaries. I'll talk to him about the late-night messages. She was so calm, so convincing. If I hadn't seen the messages myself, I would have believed her completely. Okay, I said. Thanks for clearing that up. Relief washed across her face. I love you. Love you too. The door closed. I listened to her footsteps fade down the hallway, heard the elevator ding. Then I went back to my laptop. Emma woke up at 7:30, bouncing into my office like she did every morning, her stuffed rabbit dragging behind her. Daddy, is it pancake day? Every day can be pancake day, sweetheart. She climbed into my lap, and I closed the laptop before she could see the screen. She smelled like sleep and strawberry shampoo. 4 years old. She had Ashley's eyes, my dark hair. She had no idea that her world was about to change. Where's Mommy? She had to go to work early. Big meeting. Mommy always has big meetings. Yeah, she did. I made pancakes shaped like bears, Emma's favorite. She ate them while watching cartoons, syrup on her chin, completely content. I envied her that innocence, the ability to trust completely, to believe that the world was exactly what it appeared to be. After I dropped her at preschool, I didn't go to my office. Instead, I drove to City Hall. The traffic management department was on the 4th floor. I'd been here once before, maybe 2 years ago, when Ashley first got the promotion. She'd been so excited, had given me a tour of the control center where they monitored traffic flow across the entire city. Hundreds of intersections, all connected to a central system. It was impressive, actually. The kind of thing that could make a real difference in people's lives. Or cause real damage if someone wanted to. I signed in at the security desk, took the elevator up. The receptionist was young, probably an intern. Can I help you? I'm looking for Ashley Patterson. I'm her husband. Forgot to give her something she needed for her presentation. The receptionist's face scrunched in confusion. Ashley's not here today. She called in this morning, said she was working from home on the quarterly report. Oh. I manufactured surprise. She must have meant the presentation is tomorrow. My mistake. Thanks anyway. I left before the receptionist could ask questions. So Ashley wasn't at City Hall, wasn't at a presentation, was, according to her own text messages, handling me. Which meant she was probably with Brandon, or planning to be. I sat in my car in the parking garage and pulled up the mirrored messages again. Nothing new since this morning. I scrolled back through the history, reading 4 months of deception in reverse. The messages were careful, mostly. No explicit details, nothing too incriminating. But there were references I was starting to piece together. Mentions of our spot. Complaints about timing. Inside jokes I wasn't part of. And then 3 months back, something that made me pause. Brandon W. The new timing on Highland and Broad is perfect. Had 3 calls already this morning. Ashley. Told you it would work. Give it a week and you'll need to hire more drivers. I read it again. Then again. Highland and Broad. That was a major intersection downtown, right near the hospital. I remembered Ashley mentioning she was adjusting the light timing there, something about improving traffic flow during rush hour. But Brandon's response, 3 calls already this morning. That didn't sound like traffic flow. That sounded like... I pulled out my phone and searched for Brandon W., Nashville. It took less than 30 seconds to find him. Brandon Whitfield, owner of Whitfield Towing and Recovery. The profile photo showed a guy in his late 30s, athletic build, easy smile. The kind of guy who probably never had trouble getting attention. His company had been in business for 8 years, with locations across Nashville. I stared at the screen, pieces clicking into place like a lock opening. Ashley managed traffic light timing. Brandon owned a towing company, and they were discussing how new timing patterns were generating calls. No, that was insane. That was conspiracy theory thinking. Just because they were having an affair didn't mean they were also. I scrolled back through the messages looking for more references, found them scattered across weeks. Ashley. Tweaking the yellow light duration on West End. Should see results by Friday. Brandon W. You're a genius. Revenue up 23% this quarter. Ashley. Our spot tonight? Need to celebrate. Brandon W. Wouldn't miss it. My hands were shaking. I put the phone down, picked it up again, put it down. They weren't just having an affair. They were creating accidents. Ashley was manipulating traffic lights, making yellows shorter, timing greens to create congestion, engineering near misses that became actual collisions. And Brandon was profiting from the towing contracts. The city probably paid him to clear accident scenes. And every fender bender, every rear-end collision, every frustrated driver who misjudged a light that had been deliberately mistimed. That was revenue. That was their plan. I thought about the accident I'd witnessed last month on West End. A sedan had rear-ended an SUV at a light that turned red faster than expected. I'd been annoyed at the delay, had sat in traffic for 20 minutes while a Whitfield towing truck cleared the scene. How many accidents had I driven past in the last 4 months? How many near misses had I experienced myself, cursing the timing, blaming bad drivers? My wife was engineering traffic accidents for profit. My wife was endangering lives so her lover could increase his towing revenue. I sat in that parking garage for an hour, reading through every message, building a picture I didn't want to see. The affair was almost secondary now. This was bigger than betrayal. This was criminal. The dot on Find My Friends sat at a location I didn't recognize. Not City Hall. Not our home. Not Brandon's business address, which I'd already looked up. I zoomed in on the map. The marker showed a parking lot off Briley Parkway, near the intersection with Old Hickory Boulevard. Middle of nowhere. Just asphalt and a retention pond tucked behind a cluster of industrial buildings. Our spot. I took a screenshot, then another showing the timestamp. 9:47 a.m. My hands moved with mechanical precision now, saving everything to a secure folder. The old Tyler would have been shaking, would have felt his heart trying to punch through his ribs. But that version of me had died somewhere around 2:47 a.m., and this new model ran on something colder than adrenaline. Emma was singing to herself in her room, something about dinosaurs and ice cream. The normalcy of it felt obscene. I opened a new document and started typing. Not emotional venting. I'd learned that lesson from enough corporate investigations. Just facts. Dates, times, locations. Traffic pattern modifications cross-referenced with accident reports from the Metro Nashville Police Department public database. I'd pulled those at 4:30 a.m., while Ashley was still asleep and Emma hadn't yet padded into our room asking for breakfast. The correlations were damning. Ashley had shortened yellow light durations at 12 intersections across the city over the past 4 months. Each modification came with official justification: optimizing traffic flow, reducing congestion, improving efficiency. The documentation looked legitimate. She'd even included traffic study data. Except I'd checked the timestamps on those studies. They'd been created after the changes were implemented, not before. Backward justification. She'd altered the lights first, then manufactured the paperwork to cover her tracks. And at every single one of those 12 intersections, accident rates had spiked. Rear-end collisions, mostly. Drivers unable to stop in time when yellows went red too fast. Some T-bone accidents at the intersections where she'd mistimed the green light coordination. I pulled up Brandon's business records next. Public information available through the Tennessee Secretary of State website. Whitfield Towing and Recovery had filed quarterly revenue reports. The numbers told their own story. Q1, standard growth 3% over previous year. Q2, the month. Ashley's modification started, revenue jumped 23%. Q3, another 18% increase. Q4 wasn't filed yet, but I could extrapolate. I created a graph, overlaying accident frequency with towing revenue. The lines moved in perfect synchronization. When accidents spiked at Ashley's modified intersections, Brandon's business boomed. Beautiful, in the worst possible way. My phone buzzed. A text from Ashley. Presentation running long. Might grab lunch before heading back. Love you. I looked at the Find My Friends map. The dot hadn't moved from that parking lot. I typed back, no problem. How's it going? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Really well. Mayor's office loves the new efficiency metrics. The lie came so easily to her. Smooth as glass. I set the phone down and pulled up the Metro Nashville organizational chart. Ashley reported to the Director of Transportation, a man named David Brennan. Above him sat the Deputy Mayor for Operations, then the Mayor himself. If I went public with this, the fallout would be nuclear. Not just for Ashley and Brandon, but for the entire city transportation department. Every traffic light timing decision would be questioned. Every accident reviewed. The lawsuits alone would bankrupt the city's insurance. Emma appeared in my doorway, holding her stuffed triceratops. Daddy, can we have pancakes? Sure, sweetie. I closed the laptop. Go wash your hands. She skipped off to the bathroom, humming. I made pancakes on autopilot, my mind running through scenarios. The smart play, the safe play, would be to document everything, consult a lawyer, maybe a private investigator to verify what I'd found. Build an airtight case before making any moves. But people were getting hurt. Right now. Today. Every hour, Ashley's modifications stayed in place. Someone else ran a red light they thought they could make. Someone else got rear-ended because the yellow was too short. Someone else's insurance rates went up, their car got totaled, their neck got whiplash. And Brandon's tow trucks kept rolling. Emma climbed into her chair at the kitchen table. I put a plate in front of her, cut the pancakes into small pieces, poured syrup in a little pool on the side like she preferred. Where's Mommy? At work, baby. She'll be home later. Okay. She stabbed a piece of pancake with her fork. Can we go to the park? Maybe this afternoon. I needed to make a decision. The evidence was solid. I'd stake my professional reputation on it. But going to the authorities meant blowing up Emma's life along with everything else. It meant divorce lawyers and custody battles and her daughter visiting daddy's new apartment every other weekend. It meant Ashley facing criminal charges, public endangerment, conspiracy, fraud, maybe manslaughter, if any of those accidents had killed someone. I pulled up the accident reports again while Emma ate. Scrolled through the details I'd skimmed earlier. Intersection of Charlotte and 8th Avenue, July 15th. Yellow light shortened from 4.5 seconds to 3.2 seconds on July 12th. 3-car pileup on July 15th. 2 people hospitalized. 1 with serious spinal injuries. Intersection of West End and 25th Avenue, August 3rd. Green light timing modified August 1st. T-bone collision, August 3rd. Pregnant woman, 32 weeks, emergency C-section. Baby spent 2 weeks in NICU. Intersection of Gallatin Pike and Briley Parkway, September 9th. Yellow light shortened September 6th. Fatal motorcycle accident, September 9th. Rider was 28 years old. Engaged to be married. I closed my eyes. The pregnant woman. The motorcyclist. The person with spinal injuries. Ashley had done that. Not directly, not intentionally maybe, but she'd engineered the conditions. She'd turned traffic lights into profit generators, and people had paid the price. And she was still doing it. Right now. While she sat in a parking lot with her boyfriend, pretending to give presentations at City Hall. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Ashley. Definitely grabbing lunch. Back around 2. Can you pick up Emma from daycare tomorrow? I have a late meeting. No, she didn't. She had a late meeting with Brandon. I looked at Emma, syrup on her chin, completely oblivious to the fact that her world was about to detonate. The old Tyler would have waited, would have consulted lawyers, built contingency plans, tried to control the damage. But the old Tyler hadn't seen those accident reports. Hadn't done the math on how many people had been hurt while he slept next to his wife and believed her lies about working late. I opened my contacts and scrolled to a name I hadn't called in 3 years. Jeremy Dalton. We'd gone to college together, stayed in touch loosely. He'd become an investigative reporter for the Tennessean. My finger hovered over the call button. This was the point of no return. Once I made this call, there was no walking it back. No quiet divorce, no private settlements, no protecting Emma from the fallout. But there was also no more accidents, no more people in hospitals, no more profit-driven traffic engineering. Emma looked up at me. Daddy, you okay? Yeah, baby, I'm okay. I pressed call. Jeremy answered on the 3rd ring. Tyler Patterson, it's been a minute. Hey, Jeremy, you still covering city government? Among other things. Why? I took a breath. Because I've got a story for you, and you're going to want to sit down for this one. The call with Jeremy Dalton lasted 17 minutes. When I ended it, my hands were shaking. Not from fear, but from the finality of what I'd just set in motion. I'd given him everything. The traffic data, the accident reports, the correlation between Ashley's system modifications and Brandon's revenue spikes. He'd listened in silence except for occasional sharp intakes of breath and the sound of rapid typing. I need 24 hours to verify this independently, he'd said. Then we go live. Can you sit tight until then? I'd agreed. What choice did I have? Now it was 7:43 a.m., and I was making Emma breakfast while Ashley showered. Pancakes, because they were simple and my daughter's favorite, and because I needed my hands busy doing something normal while my world prepared to detonate. "Daddy, you're burning them," Emma said from her booster seat. I looked down. She was right. The edges had gone from golden to dark brown. "Good catch, sweetheart." I flipped them onto a plate and started fresh ones. "What do you want to do today?" "Can we go to the park?" The park. Normal Saturday morning activities. Except this wasn't a normal Saturday, and by Monday morning, Emma's mother would likely be in police custody. "Sure, baby," after breakfast. Ashley emerged from the bedroom in yoga pants and a loose sweater, her hair still damp. She looked beautiful and relaxed, completely unaware that I'd spent the night dismantling her entire life. "Morning," she said, kissing the top of Emma's head. She moved toward me, and I turned slightly so her kiss landed on my cheek instead of my lips. If she noticed, she didn't comment. "I'm meeting Jenna for coffee at 10, she said, pouring herself a cup. "Should be back by noon." Jenna. I'd verified that one last night too. There was no coffee date. There was a text from Brandon at 9:47 p.m. "My place tomorrow morning. Wife's taking the kids to her mother's." "Sure," I said. "Emma and I will be at the park." She smiled, and I saw it clearly now, the ease with which she lied. The complete absence of guilt in her eyes. How long had she been this person? Or had she always been, and I'd simply been too trusting to see it? I took Emma to Shelby Park. We fed the ducks, and she ran around the playground while I sat on a bench, my phone heavy in my pocket. Jeremy had texted at 8:15, confirming data with independent source at TDOT. This is bigger than I thought. Tennessee Department of Transportation. Of course they'd have records. Ashley couldn't manipulate traffic systems without leaving digital fingerprints everywhere. Emma was on the swings when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Mr. Patterson?" A woman's voice, professional and clipped. "Speaking. This is Detective Laura Gibson with Nashville Metro Police, Traffic Crimes Division. I understand you've been in contact with Jeremy Dalton regarding some serious allegations about our city traffic management system." My stomach dropped. That was fast. "Mr. Dalton contacted us immediately after speaking with you. We've been conducting our own investigation into irregularities at certain intersections for the past 6 weeks. Your information corroborates what we've found. I need you to come in and make a formal statement." 6 weeks. They'd already been looking. When? Today, if possible. This is time sensitive. We have reason to believe additional modifications were made as recently as Thursday. Thursday, 2 days ago. While I'd been reviewing quarterly reports for a client, Ashley had been programming more accidents into Nashville's streets. "I can be there in an hour. Bring everything you have. And Mr. Patterson, don't discuss this with anyone, especially not your wife." I dropped Emma at my sister Kate's house in Brentwood. Kate asked questions I deflected with vague answers about needing to handle some business. She'd know everything soon enough. Everyone would. The police station was downtown, a concrete building that looked exactly like what it was. Detective Gibson met me in the lobby, mid-40s, dark hair pulled back, eyes that had seen too much human stupidity to be surprised by anything. She led me to an interview room. 2 other people were already there. A man in a suit who introduced himself as Assistant District Attorney Paul Brennan, and a younger woman named Vanessa Cole from the city's Transportation Audit Division. I laid it all out. The affair, the discovery, the data correlation. I showed them everything I'd compiled. The accident reports, the timing changes, Brandon's financial records, the text messages that referenced adjustments and problem intersections. Brennan's jaw tightened as he reviewed the casualty list. 73 accidents in 4 months at these 12 intersections. Before the timing changes, these same intersections averaged 8 accidents per month combined. After, 23 per month. There's a fatality, Vanessa said quietly, pointing at a report from 6 weeks ago. Intersection of Charlotte and 12th. Yellow light shortened from 4.2 seconds to 2.8 seconds. Driver attempted to make the light, got T-boned by cross traffic. Died at the scene. Rebecca Hall, age 32. Survived by a husband and 2 children. I felt sick. Detective Gibson was watching me. You understand your wife will be arrested. Probably today. I understand. And Brandon Whitfield. Good. This is going to be very public, Mr. Patterson. The city will want to make an example. Traffic safety, public trust, this hits everything. Your family will be in the spotlight. I thought about Emma on the swings an hour ago, laughing as she pumped her legs higher. My daughter deserves to grow up in a city where traffic lights work the way they're supposed to, where her mother isn't engineering car accidents for profit. Brennan nodded slowly. We'll need you to testify before the grand jury, probably multiple times. Are you prepared for that? Yes. Your wife will likely claim you fabricated evidence, that you have the technical skills to manufacture this data. I know. That's why I'm giving you everything raw. You can verify it independently. The timestamps, the system logs, the accident reports, it's all in the city's own databases. I just connected the dots. Vanessa was typing rapidly on her laptop. I'm pulling the system access logs now. Every modification is tracked with user credentials and timestamps. She paused, her face going pale. Oh my God, there are hundreds of changes. Not just intersections, pedestrian crossing times, turn arrow sequences, even school zone flashers. School zones. She modified school zone signals? My voice came out strangled. Vanessa nodded, still staring at her screen. Riverwood Elementary last Tuesday. The morning flasher sequence was delayed by 90 seconds. There was a near miss with a crossing guard and 2 children. I stood up abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. I need some air. Detective Gibson followed me into the hallway. I leaned against the wall, breathing hard. She could have killed children, I said. For what? So Brandon could tow a few more cars? We'll find out exactly why, Gibson said. But Mr. Patterson, you need to prepare yourself. When we arrest her, it's going to happen fast. We can't risk her accessing the traffic system again. She'll be taken into custody, probably within the next few hours. What about Emma? Your daughter. You'll retain custody unless there's some reason you shouldn't. No, I'm a good father. Then Emma will be with you. But you should think about how you're going to explain this to her. How do you tell a 4-year-old that her mother is going to jail? That the woman who kisses her goodnight and makes her chocolate chip pancakes on Sunday mornings deliberately caused car accidents that hurt people? That killed people? I don't know, I said honestly. Gibson's expression softened slightly. We have victim advocates who work with families. I'll have someone reach out. We went back inside. Brennan was on his phone, and from his tone, he was talking to someone senior. Yes, sir. The evidence is solid. We need to move now. Understood. He ended the call and looked at me. We're executing arrest warrants within the hour. For both Ashley Patterson and Brandon Whitfield. We're also getting an emergency injunction to lock Ashley out of the traffic management system immediately. It was happening. Really happening. Where is your wife right now? Detective Gibson asked. I checked my phone. 11:47 a.m. She said she'd be home by noon, but she's actually at Brandon Whitfield's house. 2847 Woodmont Boulevard. Gibson nodded to a uniformed officer by the door, who immediately left, presumably to coordinate the arrest. "We'll need you to stay here," Brennan said, "at least until both suspects are in custody. After that, you're free to go, but you'll need to remain available for questioning." I sat back down. My phone buzzed. A text from Kate. "Emma's fine. She's watching a movie. Take your time." Take my time. As if time meant anything anymore. As if I could slow down what was coming or speed through it to some imaginary point where things made sense again. The room fell quiet except for the hum of fluorescent lights and Vanessa's typing. We were waiting. In homes across Nashville, people were waiting at traffic lights that might or might not be timed correctly. Ashley was probably at Brandon's house right now, believing she was safe, believing her carefully constructed scheme would continue indefinitely. And Emma was watching a movie, still living in a world where her mother was simply her mother, not a criminal who'd traded public safety for profit and passion. Detective Gibson's radio crackled. "Units in position at both locations. Ready on your signal." She looked at me one last time, giving me a final chance to stop this. I nodded. She keyed the radio. "Execute the warrants." The press conference was scheduled for 2 p.m. I learned about it the same way everyone else did, from a news alert on my phone. Metro Nashville to address traffic safety concerns. Mayor's office, police, and transportation officials to speak. I was sitting in my living room when the notification appeared. Emma was at my mother's house. The condo felt enormous and silent without her. Every sound amplified. The hum of the refrigerator, the distant traffic below, the creak of the building settling. My phone rang. Jeremy Dalton. "Tyler, you should be there." "I don't think..." "Not on camera, but you should hear what they're gonna say. I can get you in through the back." 20 minutes later, I was standing in a side hallway of the Metro courthouse, watching through a partially open door as reporters set up cameras in the main conference room. Jeremy stood beside me, notepad already in hand. "They've been working around the clock," he said quietly. "The full audit came back this morning." "And?" He looked at me, and I saw something in his expression I hadn't seen before. Pity, maybe, or fear. "It's worse than anyone thought." Mayor Patricia Lawson took the podium at exactly 2 p.m. She was flanked by Police Chief William Garrett, Transportation Director Robert Kane, and Ada Paul Brennan. All of them looked like they hadn't slept in days. "Good afternoon. I'm here to address a matter of grave public concern regarding the safety and integrity of Nashville's traffic management systems." The room was packed. I recognized reporters from every major outlet, local, state, national. This wasn't just a Nashville story anymore. 5 days ago, Nashville Metro Police, working in conjunction with the District Attorney's Office, arrested 2 individuals in connection with a criminal conspiracy to manipulate traffic signal timing for financial gain. Those individuals are Ashley Patterson, a senior traffic engineer with Metro Transportation, and Brandon Whitfield, owner of Whitfield Towing and Recovery. She paused. Cameras clicked and flashed. Since that time, our transportation department has conducted a comprehensive audit of all traffic signal modifications made in the past 18 months. What we've discovered represents a systematic compromise of public safety on a scale this city has never seen. Robert Kane stepped forward. He was in his 60s, gray-haired, wearing a suit that looked slept in. His hands shook slightly as he unfolded a paper. "Ms. Patterson had administrative access to our traffic management system. access granted as part of her senior engineer role. Our audit has revealed that over the past 14 months, she made unauthorized modifications to traffic signals at 217 intersections across Davidson County. 217. I felt the number like a physical blow. These modifications included reducing yellow light duration below federal safety standards, creating timing gaps between signal phases, disabling pedestrian countdown timers, and in some cases, programming signals to create what traffic engineers call dilemma zones, situations where drivers cannot safely stop or proceed through an intersection. Kane's voice cracked slightly. He cleared his throat. We have identified 462 traffic accidents that occurred at these modified intersections during the period of manipulation. Of those accidents, 308 resulted in injuries. 7 resulted in fatalities. 7 people. The room erupted with questions, but Mayor Lawson raised her hand. Chief Garrett will address the criminal investigation. The police chief was a large man with a military bearing. He spoke with the controlled precision of someone delivering very bad news. Our investigation has established that Ms. Patterson and Mr. Whitfield engaged in a conspiracy beginning in approximately November of last year. Ms. Patterson would modify traffic signals at specific intersections, targeting areas with high traffic volume and limited alternative routes. Mr. Whitfield's towing company held contracts with Metro Nashville and several private property owners in these areas. He consulted his notes. In the 14 months prior to the conspiracy, Whitfield Towing averaged 143 service calls per month. In the 14 months of the conspiracy, that number increased to 371 calls per month. Mr. Whitfield's gross revenue increased by approximately $2.3 million during this period. Someone in the press corps let out a low whistle. We have recovered extensive communications between Ms. Patterson and Mr. Whitfield, including text messages, emails, and recorded phone conversations. These communications demonstrate clear coordination between traffic signal modifications and anticipated increases in accident rates and towing revenue. Garrett's jaw tightened. In several instances, the defendants discussed specific intersections by name, predicted accident increases, and celebrated when those predictions proved accurate. They treated traffic accidents and the injuries and deaths that resulted as business metrics. The room had gone completely silent. Both defendants are currently in custody. Ms. Patterson is being held without bail. Mr. Whitfield posted bail, but is under house arrest with electronic monitoring. The district attorney's office will now address the charges. Paul Brennan stepped forward. I'd met with him twice since Ashley's arrest. He was younger than I'd expected, maybe 35, with the intensity of someone who took his work personally. The state of Tennessee has filed charges against both defendants, including conspiracy to commit fraud, reckless endangerment, vehicular homicide, official misconduct, and wire fraud. Additional federal charges are being prepared by the U.S. Attorney's Office related to the defendants' use of electronic communications to further their conspiracy. He paused, making eye contact with the cameras. I want to be clear about something. This was not a mistake. This was not negligence. This was a deliberate, calculated scheme to endanger public safety for profit. The evidence we have recovered shows systematic planning, coordination, and complete disregard for human life. If convicted on all charges, each defendant faces a maximum sentence of 75 years in prison. The questions came fast after that. How did this go undetected for so long? Kane fielded that one. Our traffic management system had oversight protocols, but they were designed to catch technical malfunctions, not deliberate sabotage by a trusted senior engineer. Ms. Patterson knew exactly how to make modifications that would appear routine in our logging systems. What about the families of the victims? Mayor Lawson's expression tightened. We are reaching out personally to every family affected by these accidents. The city takes full responsibility for the failures in our oversight systems that allowed this to occur. We anticipate significant civil litigation, and frankly, those families deserve compensation. Is the traffic system safe now? We have reverted all modified signals to their original timing or to new timing based on current federal safety standards, Kane said. We've also implemented new protocols requiring dual authorization for any signal timing changes and real-time monitoring of all modifications. Additionally, we're conducting a full review of access privileges across all city infrastructure systems. What's the estimated cost to the city? Between the system overhaul, litigation settlements, and increased insurance premiums, we're projecting somewhere between $80 and $200 million over the next 5 years, the mayor said. That's a conservative estimate. Jeremy leaned close to me. You okay? I realized I was gripping the doorframe hard enough that my knuckles had gone white. 7 people, I said. I know. She killed 7 people. Yeah? On the podium, a reporter was asking about public trust in city infrastructure. How do you expect Nashville residents to trust traffic signals after this? Mayor Lawson looked directly into the cameras. I don't have a good answer for that. Trust is earned, and we've lost it. All I can tell you is that we're taking every possible measure to ensure this never happens again, and we're being completely transparent about what occurred. The full audit report will be made public tomorrow. Every modification, every accident, every piece of evidence, it will all be available. She took a breath. And I want to acknowledge something. This conspiracy was uncovered not by our oversight systems, not by our internal audits, but by a private citizen who recognized something was wrong and brought evidence to the authorities. Our systems failed. Someone with no obligation to this city did what our safeguards should have done. I felt Jeremy glance at me, but I kept my eyes forward. We owe that person a debt of gratitude, and we owe every Nashville resident a traffic system they can trust. We're going to earn that trust back, whatever it takes. The press conference lasted another 20 minutes, but I'd heard enough. I walked out through the back hallway, past security, into the bright afternoon sunlight. My phone buzzed. A text from Detective Gibson. Thought you should know. Ashley's attorney contacted us. She wants to talk to you. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I deleted it and went to pick up my daughter. The jail's visiting room smelled like industrial cleaner and desperation. I sat at one of the metal tables, staring at the scratched surface while I waited. 3 days since Ashley's arrest. 3 days of Emma asking when Mommy was coming home while I fumbled through explanations about work trips and important business. Detective Gibson had called yesterday morning. Your wife's attorney reached out. Ashley wants to see you. You're under no obligation. I'll do it. I'd surprised myself with how quickly I'd answered. Part of me needed to hear whatever she had to say. The other part, the part that had watched 7 families bury their loved ones on the evening news, wanted to look her in the eye and see if there was anything left of the woman I'd married. The door buzzed. Ashley walked in wearing an orange jumpsuit, her blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, no makeup. She looked smaller somehow. Diminished. Our eyes met across the room. She sat down slowly, hands folded on the table between us. No handcuffs. This was a non-contact visit, but they'd granted us privacy. A guard stood outside the window. "Thank you for coming," she said. Her voice was hoarse. "I wasn't sure you would." I didn't respond, just waited. "I need you to know something." She looked down at her hands. "The affair with Brandon, it was real. I know that sounds insane given everything else, but I need you to understand that part wasn't calculated. It wasn't part of some plan. That's supposed to make me feel better? No, nothing I say will make anything better." She met my eyes again. "But I owe you the truth. All of it." I leaned back in my chair, crossing my arms. "I'm listening." She took a shaky breath. "It started 18 months ago. I was working late on a traffic flow optimization project. Legitimate work. Brandon's company had contracts with the city for accident cleanup, so we'd crossed paths at a few incidents. He asked me to coffee to discuss response times. Skip to the part where you decided to kill people for money." She flinched. "It wasn't. We didn't think anyone would die. That sounds so stupid now, but we convinced ourselves we were just creating minor fender benders, increasing congestion slightly. Brandon showed me how much revenue he was losing to competitors, how the city's new contracts were squeezing small businesses. I thought I was helping someone I cared about survive." "You modified 217 intersections, Ashley. You didn't stumble into this. The first one was Hillsborough and West End. I shortened the yellow light by 0.8 seconds. That's it. Just under a second." Her voice cracked. "There were 3 rear-end collisions that week. Minor damage, no injuries. Brandon's company got 2 of the towing calls. He was so grateful, so excited. He took me to dinner and told me I'd saved his business." I felt sick listening to her rationalize it. "It escalated," she continued. "1 intersection became 5. 5 became 20. We developed a system. I'd identify high-traffic locations where slight timing changes would create confusion. Yellow lights shortened. Green light sequences that didn't quite sync with turn signals. Nothing that would trigger automated safety reviews, but enough to increase accidents by 15 to 20% in targeted zones." "You're describing premeditated conspiracy." "I know." Tears were running down her face now. "Every time I thought about stopping, Brandon would show me his revenue reports. His business was thriving. He hired back employees he'd had to lay off. His mother needed cancer treatment, and suddenly he could afford it. I told myself we were doing good, in a twisted way, keeping a local business alive, helping families. 7 people died because of you." The words hit her like a physical blow. She doubled over, sobbing. "I know. God, Tyler, I know. I see their faces every time I close my eyes. The elderly couple on Charlotte Avenue, the college student on West End, the mother of 3 on Murfreesboro Pike. I know their names. I know everything about them because I can't stop reading about them." I watched her cry and felt nothing. The old Tyler, the one who'd loved this woman for 9 years, would have reached across the table to comfort her, would have felt something resembling sympathy. That Tyler was gone. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked when her sobbing quieted. She wiped her face with her sleeve. "Because I need you to understand something before the trial, before everything becomes public testimony and legal strategy. The traffic manipulation was my idea, not Brandon's." I sat forward. "What?" "He suggested I could maybe adjust timing at 1 intersection near his main competitor's territory. That's all. I'm the one who turned it into a systematic operation. I'm the one who identified 217 locations, I'm the one who calculated optimal timing changes to maximize accidents while avoiding detection. She looked at me with red, swollen eyes. Brandon's a lot of things, but he's not smart enough to have engineered this. I did this. Your attorney know you're confessing to me? She'll figure it out soon enough. I'm pleading guilty, Tyler. To everything. I'm not going to trial. That caught me off guard. Why? Because 7 families deserve better than watching me try to minimize what I did. Because Emma deserves a mother who took responsibility, even if she can't understand it yet. Because you deserve the truth without having to sit through months of legal theater. She paused. And because I can't live with myself if I don't. We sat in silence for a long moment. My attorney says I'm looking at 60 to 75 years with the charges they're filing, Ashley said quietly. Federal and state. The DOJ is involved now because of the infrastructure manipulation. They're calling it domestic terrorism. Is it? I don't know anymore. I don't know what to call what I did. She looked at me with something like desperation. I keep trying to figure out when I became this person. When did I stop being the woman who cried watching those ASPCA commercials? Who volunteered at Emma's daycare? Who loved you so much it hurt? You tell me. I can't. That's the worst part. There wasn't a moment. No single decision where I chose to become a monster. It was 1,000 small compromises. 1,000 times I chose convenience over conscience. 1,000 times I told myself the ends justified the means. She wiped her eyes again. The affair with Brandon wasn't even about passion or excitement. It was about having someone who looked at me like I was brilliant instead of broken. Someone who didn't know all my flaws and failures. I knew your flaws, Ashley. I loved you anyway. I know you did. That's why I couldn't tell you what I was doing. You would have stopped me immediately. You would have seen how wrong it was. She laughed bitterly. You did stop me, eventually. Not soon enough to save 7 people. She absorbed that like a knife wound. No, not soon enough. The guard knocked on the window. 5 minutes remaining. Why did you really want to see me? I asked. This can't just be about confession. Ashley reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. She slid it across the table. I wrote this for Emma. For when she's old enough to understand. I need you to keep it safe until then. Please. I looked at the paper but didn't touch it. And I need you to know that everything in our joint accounts, the condo, my retirement fund, it's all yours. I've already signed papers. My attorney has them. I'm not fighting you on anything. Emma needs stability, and you're the only one who can give her that now. That's it? Financial arrangements and a letter? No. She met my eyes one last time. I need you to know that I loved you. Really loved you. That wasn't a lie or manipulation. The woman you married existed. She was real. She just got lost somewhere along the way. And I'm so sorry I took you and Emma down with me when I fell. The guard opened the door. Time's up. Ashley stood slowly. She looked at me like she was memorizing my face. Take care of our daughter. Tell her I loved her more than anything. Even when I was making terrible choices, that part was always true. I picked up the folded letter and put it in my pocket without reading it. Goodbye, Ashley. She nodded, tears streaming down her face again. Goodbye, Tyler. I watched her walk back through the door, the guard's hand on her elbow. The lock buzzed. She was gone. I sat alone in the visiting room for another minute, staring at the scratched metal table. Somewhere in the building, my wife was returning to a cell where she'd spend the next several decades. Somewhere in Nashville, 7 families were planning their lives around permanent absences. Somewhere in our condo, Emma was probably asking my mother when Daddy would be home. I pulled up my phone and looked at the wallpaper, a photo of the 3 of us from Emma's 4th birthday party 2 months ago. Ashley was laughing, Emma was covered in frosting, and I had my arms around both of them. That version of our family didn't exist anymore. I changed the wallpaper to a photo of just Emma and me. Then I stood up and walked out of the jail into the bright afternoon sunlight, ready to figure out what came next. 6 years later, the notification came through at 2:47 p.m. I wasn't expecting it, but I'd known it would come eventually. Emma was at soccer practice, and I was sitting in my home office, a different office, in a different house, in a different neighborhood, when my phone buzzed with an email from the Tennessee Department of Corrections. Inmate Ashley Patterson, ID 847392, has been transferred to hospice care at Metro Nashville Medical Center. As listed next of kin, you are being notified of this status change. I read it twice, then set the phone down. Hospice. The ovarian cancer they'd found 18 months ago had finally won. Her attorney had mentioned it during one of the rare updates I still received. Stage 4. Aggressive, untreatable by the time they caught it. Ashley had refused to petition for compassionate release. I deserve to die here, she'd told her lawyer. Emma walked into my office, still in her soccer uniform, grass stains on her knees. She was 10 now, tall for her age, with Ashley's eyes and my stubborn chin. "Dad, you okay?" I looked at my daughter. This bright, fierce, compassionate kid who'd somehow survived having her world implode at age 4. Who'd been through therapy and hard conversations and questions I'd never wanted to answer. Who knew her mother was in prison but didn't know all the details yet because 10 still felt too young for the full weight of it. "Yeah, sweetheart. Come here for a second." She sat on the edge of my desk, swinging her legs. "What's up?" "I got an email about your mom. She's sick. Very sick. She's in the hospital now." Emma's expression shifted, not to sadness exactly, but to something more complicated. She'd been 4 the last time she saw Ashley. Her memories were fragments, pancakes and bedtime stories and a mother who disappeared one day and never came back. Is she going to die? I'd learned not to lie to her. Not after everything. Yeah, probably soon. She was quiet for a moment, processing. "Do you want to see her?" The question surprised me. "I don't know. Do you?" Emma picked at a loose thread on her shorts. "I don't remember her very much. Sometimes I think I do, but then I'm not sure if it's real memories or just from photos." She looked up at me. "Is that bad?" "No, baby, that's normal. Jenna's mom asked me once if I missed having a mom. Jenna was her best friend, had been since 2nd grade. I told her I had you, and Aunt Kate, and Grandma. That felt like enough." My chest tightened. It is enough. We're enough. But she's still my mom, even if she did bad things. "Yeah, she is." Emma slid off the desk. "I think you should go see her. Not for her. For you. So you don't wonder later." 10 years old and already wiser than I'd been at 30. The hospital room was small and sterile, filled with the rhythmic beeping of monitors. Ashley lay in the bed, 40 pounds lighter than I remembered, her skin gray, her blonde hair gone. An oxygen tube ran under her nose. Her eyes were closed. A nurse intercepted me at the door. "Are you family?" "Ex-husband. I got the notification." She nodded sympathetically. She's been in and out of consciousness. The doctor says it's a matter of days, maybe hours. You can sit with her if you'd like. I pulled a chair next to the bed and sat down. Up close, I could see the rise and fall of her chest, shallow and labored. Her hands rested on top of the blanket, an IV line taped to her left arm. No restraints. She was too weak to be a flight risk now. I sat there for maybe 10 minutes, watching this stranger who used to be my wife slowly die. Then her eyes opened. It took her a moment to focus, to recognize me. When she did, something like surprise crossed her face. "Tyler." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Hey, you came." "Yeah." She tried to shift in the bed, winced. "Emma?" "She's good. She's great, actually. Smart as hell. Plays soccer. Has a wicked sense of humor." I paused. "She doesn't really remember you." Ashley's eyes filled with tears. "That's probably better." "Maybe." We sat in silence for a while. The monitors beeped. Somewhere down the hall, someone was crying. "I read your letter," I said finally. "The one you gave me that day at the jail. I read it about a year ago, trying to figure out if Emma was ready to see it. And? She's not. Maybe when she's older. Maybe never. I haven't decided yet." Ashley nodded weakly. "That's your choice. You've earned it. You wrote that you couldn't figure out when you became the person who did those things, that there wasn't a single moment." I remember. I've thought about that a lot over the years, trying to understand how someone I loved could. I trailed off. "I think I finally get it. You made 1,000 small compromises, yeah. But the first one was the biggest. The moment you decided your happiness mattered more than your integrity. Everything else followed from that." She closed her eyes. "You're right. I'm not telling you this to be cruel. I'm telling you because I learned something from watching your life implode. We all make compromises. Every day. Little choices between what's easy and what's right. Most of the time the stakes are small. But character isn't built in the big moments. It's built in all the small ones we think don't matter." Is that what you tell Emma? Every chance I get. I tell her that doing the right thing is often hard and unrewarding. That sometimes you'll be the only one who knows you made the ethical choice. That integrity is what you do when nobody's watching. I leaned forward. And I tell her that her mother made terrible choices, but that doesn't mean she has to. That we all get to decide who we become. Ashley was crying silently now, tears running down her hollow cheeks. "Does she hate me?" "No. She doesn't know you well enough to hate you. She's just sad about the idea of you. The mother she might have had." "That's worse." "Yeah, it probably is." The nurse came in to check vitals, adjusted something on one of the machines, then left us alone again. "The families," Ashley whispered. "The 7 people. Do they know I'm dying?" "I don't know. Probably. It's been in the news." "Good. I hope they feel something like relief, or justice, or closure." She coughed, a wet, rattling sound. "I hope my death gives them something my life took away." I didn't know what to say to that. "Tyler?" Her voice was fading. "Thank you for being a good father. For giving Emma the life I destroyed. For being the person I couldn't be. I didn't do it for you." "I know. That's why it matters." Her eyes closed again. Her breathing grew more labored. I sat with her for another hour, watching the monitors, watching the numbers slowly decline. At some point, a doctor came in, checked her chart, gave me a meaningful look. Not long now. When Ashley's breathing finally stopped, it was quiet. No dramatic gasps or final words, just a gentle cessation, like a candle burning down to nothing. The monitors flatlined. The doctor came in, checked for a pulse, noted the time of death. 3:47 p.m. Exactly 6 years and 1 hour after the notification that had started everything. I stood up, looked at Ashley's body one last time, and felt nothing but a distant, abstract sadness. Not for her, but for the waste of it all. The potential squandered. The lives damaged. The daughter who would grow up with a hole where a mother should have been. I walked out of the hospital into the autumn afternoon. The sun was shining. Traffic moved normally through the intersection outside. Lights timed properly, drivers proceeding safely through yellows and reds that followed federal safety standards. Emma was waiting in the car, reading a book. She looked up when I got in. Is she gone? Yeah. Are you sad? I thought about it honestly. I'm sad about what could have been. About the person she was before she made those choices. But the person who died today? No. I let go of her a long time ago. Emma nodded, processing. Can we get ice cream? I laughed. The question was so perfectly, wonderfully normal. Yeah, sweetheart. We can get ice cream. As I drove toward Emma's favorite ice cream place, I thought about the letter Ashley had written, still locked in my safe at home. Maybe I'd give it to Emma someday. Maybe I wouldn't. Either way, I'd make sure my daughter understood the most important lesson her mother had inadvertently taught us both. Your character isn't tested in the moments of triumph or tragedy. It's tested in the 1,000 small choices you make when you think nobody's watching. When you're tired, frustrated, tempted by shortcuts that seem harmless. When doing the right thing costs you something you want. Those are the moments that define who you are. Ashley had failed those tests over and over until the accumulated weight of her compromises crushed everything she'd built. 7 people had died because she'd chosen convenience over conscience, profit over principle, desire over duty. But her failure didn't have to define Emma's future, or mine. We got our ice cream, mint chocolate chip for Emma, coffee for me, and sat at a picnic table outside, watching the evening traffic roll past. Normal people going about normal lives, trusting that the infrastructure around them worked the way it should. Trusting that the people in positions of responsibility took that trust seriously. Most of them did. Most people made the right choices, most of the time. They weren't heroes or saints. They were just ordinary people who understood that civilization required everyone to hold up their small corner of the social contract. Ashley had forgotten that. Or maybe she'd never really believed it. But I did. And I was raising Emma to believe it too. Dad? Emma had ice cream on her nose. When I'm older, can I read what Mom wrote? If you want to, when you're ready. Do you think it'll help me understand? Maybe. Or maybe it'll just confirm what you already know, that people are complicated, and sometimes they make terrible choices, and we have to figure out how to live with the consequences. She licked her ice cream thoughtfully. That's kind of depressing. Yeah. But here's the thing. You also get to make choices, every day. And those choices add up to the person you become. You're not defined by what your mother did. You're defined by what you do. So no pressure or anything, she said with a grin. I laughed. No pressure. Just be honest. Be kind. Do the right thing even when it's hard. That's all anyone can ask. That's a lot, actually. Yeah, it is. But I've seen you do it already, 100 times. You're going to be fine, Em. Better than fine. We finished our ice cream as the sun set over Nashville, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Somewhere in the city, 7 families were going about their evenings with permanent absences at their dinner tables. Somewhere, Ashley's body was being processed through the system she'd betrayed. Somewhere, Brandon Whitfield was serving year 23 of his 75-year sentence, having refused the plea deal that might have reduced it. But here, at this picnic table, there was just a father and daughter eating ice cream and talking about soccer practice and homework and all the beautifully mundane details of a normal life. It wasn't the life I'd planned. It wasn't the family I'd imagined building. But it was enough. We were enough. And in the end, that was the only victory that mattered. Not letting Ashley's choices destroy us. Not letting her failures define our future. Taking the wreckage she'd left behind and building something honest and good from the pieces. Emma would grow up knowing her mother's story. She'd know about the choices Ashley made and the consequences that followed. She'd carry that knowledge with her, a cautionary tale written in her own DNA. But she'd also grow up knowing that she had the power to choose differently. That character was built in small moments. That integrity mattered, even when, especially when, no one was watching. That was Ashley's final gift, though she'd never meant to give it. A lesson in what not to become. And maybe, in some twisted way, that was enough too. We drove home through streets that were safe again, through intersections that functioned the way they should, through a city that had learned its own hard lessons about trust and oversight and the price of looking away. The notification that had come at 2:47 a.m. 6 years ago had changed everything. But we'd survived. We'd rebuilt. We'd learned. And tomorrow, we'd wake up and make 1,000 small choices again, each one an opportunity to become the people we wanted to be. That was the real story. Not the betrayal or the conspiracy or the dramatic collapse. Just the quiet, persistent work of choosing integrity over convenience, day after day, choice after choice, until those choices became character. That was the lesson worth teaching. That was the legacy worth leaving. And that was enough.